All right, folks, you are in the right place and the right time. It is the next match in what has already been a barn burner of a tournament, the inaugural Imposter Kings tournament. We are looking at the first semifinal tonight, match number 5, the upper bracket semifinal between masterx328 and Mr. Rogers. All right. Well, here, as I always do, I've got here in the studio none other than the creator of this game, Sina. Let's go ahead and put us both on screen. Look at that. All right. Sina, welcome to another exciting night of Imposter Kings action, the next step of the tournament. You know, Sina, usually on Tuesday nights, it's you and I who are playing. This is our first time taking a break from that to watch two other tournament contenders playing together. Do you miss it? Are you going to miss it tonight? Are you going to miss being in the fray?
That's right, Dan. Normally we have our tete-a-tete tonight, usually a fierce competition between two competitors with ultimately one person winning. I feel like the same thing is going to be happening here, so I'm not too worried about it, and I will definitely make sure that I feel whoever wins and have that same energy going out of that, because it is a great feeling when that happens. Not to say that it didn't happen every single time that me and you played. In fact, you started making a comeback before we put it on hiatus. However, we're not here to talk about us. We're here to talk about masterx328 and Mr. Rogers. Dan, what are your takes on these contenders?
Well, it's interesting. It was a tale of two very different backgrounds coming to the game in the first round. masterx328 had taken a long break from the game, and despite that, came back roaring. Stepped right in, knocked it out of the park, won the first match of the tournament, showed no hesitation, and is a very dangerous competitor here in the second round. Mr. Rogers, the same deal. Perhaps the most knowledgeable about the ins and outs of the rules. Came in, played aggressively, where most of the other players have come in trying to feel things out, and was rewarded for that effort with the one and only shutout that we've seen so far in the tournament. So also very dangerous. Sina, how would you handicap this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, that 8-0 put the fear into the hearts of everyone. I believe Mr. Rogers was the first person to spin the assassin card before throwing it out recklessly to his opponent. So, yeah, I mean, Master X, he said it himself. He doesn't know all the cards, but that's not what you need in order to win this game. And one of Mr. Rogers' biggest fears is new players, because he says he cannot handle when people are playing a little bit differently than other players do. And so we'll have to see what happens here, because I think that there's going to be some bamboozling, there's going to be some bluffing, and overall it should be a good time. So
Excellent. Well, I think we're going to have a good time tonight. Howdy, everyone who's joining on the stream. Jorge Posada, great to see you tonight. Thanks for the bits. Your request is to print those bits out on paper and throw them in Sina's face. And I will do that as soon as it is socially distantly possible to manage that exact thing. I wonder how much paper 200 bits represents. All right, well, as we always do, we now jump into how to actually play this here game of Imposter Kings, the How to Play segment. So how do you play Imposter Kings? Well, it's pretty simple. We've done this in the previous explanations, but it's good to pay attention because every rule can impact things. So Imposter Kings, players take turns playing a card from their hand onto the throne. The objective is to be the last player able to play a card. So what does that mean? Well, cards can only be played on cards of equal or lesser value unless they have a special ability that allows them to get played on the current top card. So an example card is just like the Elder here. The big number 3 in the top left-hand corner indicates that the Elder can be played on cards of 3 or less when they're on the throne. But if you look past that antagonizing energy of the vicious side eye you're getting, note at the bottom it says you may play this card on any royalty. That means that that Elder can be played on both cards that are royalty cards, which are 9s. So even the humble 3 can take on big time cards if you use them at the right time. Other things to note in terms of how the actual shuffle is done. Well, there are 18 cards in the deck. It's the same 18 every time. You'll see the key for that on the right-hand side of your screen during the tournament. Each player is dealt 8 of those 18. The remaining 2 are burned, 1 face up, 1 face down. That face down card can create a lot of mayhem because that's the only card that neither player knows is either in their hand or their opponent's hand. Each player also starts with a face-up king card. Prior to each hand, each player burns 1 card of the 8 they've been given, and of the remaining 7, they'll take 1 out of their hand and place it face down next to their king as their successor card, which is technically not in their hand, or at least not in their hand just yet. So speaking of that king card, that's him right here, and the king card can be used once per hand. And using the card, the king card, means you'll flip it and it'll do 2 things. One is it will disgrace the card on the throne, and it allows you to take that successor card that's face down in front of you back into your hand to use it however you need. Now, when it comes to disgracing, what that means is disgraced cards on the throne have a value of 1 and have no special properties. So whatever number's on there, it gets wiped back to a 1, which means that anything can be played on top of it. It also means you don't have to play anything on top of it. Other thing to note, here's another sample card, the Inquisitor. There's 2 Inquisitors of those 18 cards. Note the Inquisitor is a 4. Note the Inquisitor also has a power. You may say a card name. Other players with that card in their hand must play 1 to their antechamber. What does that mean? Well, an antechamber card must be played next turn regardless of whether it would otherwise be a valid play. So if you play the Inquisitor, you can guess a card in the opponent's hand, and if they have it, they have to play it next turn. Meaning not only do you get information about what your opponent has, but you also get to dictate their next play. It can be very powerful if you use it right on the right card at the right time. A couple of other cards to keep your eye on amongst those 18. On the left is the Fool. Just a humble 1, which means it can only be played on disgraced cards. But if you do play it, it means any card that's face up on the table can go straight into your hand. Use it at the right time, it can win you the hand. On the right-hand side, that's the Assassin. Again, the Assassin is just a humble 2, but the Assassin has an incredible power. If your opponent uses their king and you have the Assassin in your hand, boom, you win. The game is over. Their king is dead. You can start counting your points. And speaking of counting your points, tonight's game is to 7 points. Scoring per hand, 1 point is for winning. You get an additional point for winning with your opponent having at least 1 card in their hand. You also get a bonus point for winning without using your king. So that's how you play the game Imposter Kings. Let's take a look at the bracket. Whoops. So here's the tournament bracket right here. So tonight's matchup is going to be between masterx328 and Mr. Rogers. It's our first winners bracket semifinals. As Sina mentioned, the winner of this game is guaranteed at least the 3rd place in the tournament, and they'll play the winner of the other upper bracket semifinal between Dancing Pharaohs and Juno Balls. The loser of this match will shoot on down to the losers bracket. That would be game number 10 here, and they'll play the winner of the Sasuke Shane matchup, which is happening later this week and should be a very intense tilt indeed. That's where we are in the tournament. Sina, any final thoughts on this before we jump on over to Imposter King Stadium?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty interesting matchup, as I mentioned before. And a couple of the players were asked before the game started how they felt about coming into this match. So specifically, what kind of card strats are they expecting to use, or what's their favorite kind of tactic? Mr. Rogers started off by saying his favorite play is to spin the Assassin, whether he has it or not. If anyone knows, there's an unwritten rule in this game where if you start spinning a card face down, people start assuming that it's just the Assassin because it's I don't know, it's a good intimidation tactic. Also, it feels real crummy when you have to flip your king, have no choice, and the Assassin comes out and takes care of you. Whereas masterx328 mentions that his favorite combo is whatever Will, who is misuses to beat me in game 1. So it sounds like we have ourselves a little bit of an echo, or as you say, a ditto if you're in the Pokemon world. I know, Dan, you're a huge fan of Pokemon, as well as someone who is a doppelganger to their opponent and is going to adapt to whatever combo the other player uses. But enough talking about what could happen here. Let's go ahead and get right into the match.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Let's jump into Imposter King Stadium and start this tilt up. See you there. Well, I tried to make that a skillful transition. There we go. All right, we are in the stadium, folks. masterx328 and Mr. Rogers sitting at the ready with the decks in front of them. Let us begin. So, how does every game begin? Is both players draw their kings. That's from this stack right here. And this draw is significant because one of the kings is the true king. The player that has the true king gets to pick who goes first, which can be very important indeed. That will normally pass to the player who loses the previous hand, but it's by luck.
I did not mean to cut that.
And it looks like Mr. Rogers will be the one who starts with the
There we go.
true king.
Shuffle and draw.
All right, they have their hands. Let's take a look at what's getting burned here. So the top burn card is the Inquisitor, and the bottom burn card is the Princess. Oh my, oh my. So going to be interesting to see. Whenever royalty is the face down burn card, it's always easy to think your hand is worse than it is because you suspect your opponent has that royalty card and you don't. Of course, neither player does. All right, we're going to dig in now to Mr. Rogers' hand. He has the true king. Let's take a look at what he got. So, Sina, Elder, Inquisitor, Soldier, Oathbound, Warlord, both eights, the King's Hand, the Sentry, and the Queen. So, interesting hand, pretty strong hand, but missing the Fool and the Assassin. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, we got the whole rainbow here, so that's pretty nice. This is a really strong hand, and I would expect Mr. Rogers to take full advantage of it, ideally getting a 3-point hand here. Even without the Assassin or the Fool, it can be pretty devastating. I would be surprised. I don't think masterx is going to take a mulligan on the first turn, but it might be something he's considering if he thinks about the fact that does not have the other royalty.
That's right. That's exactly right, especially because with the royalty burned face down, that means that Mr. Rogers has the 3 top cards numerically in the hand and one of the elders, which is the counter play to the queen. Going across the table to look at masterx328's hand. So Fool, Assassin, Elder, Zealot, Judge, Soldier, Oathbound, Mystic. So he's got both specialty cards and survivability cards in those 2 3s, but not much of a top end. Sina?
At least, he has got the Oathbound Mystic combo, which is a combo that I actually really love. Which is essentially, if he uses the Oathbound to pull the Mystic and hits the number 8, there's no way to King's Hand it. I think that's more of an advanced tactic, but we got the full Oathbound combo at least. So if Mr. Rogers decides to go first, he can try to pull out the Oathbound, which I suspect he will do. That'll significantly weaken this hand. Otherwise, he could pull the Elder. So this is a really tough hand for masterx, and I'd really like to see him try to just stay alive here.
We'll see. It could break its way if he can use the Assassin or the Fool effectively, but I would agree that the odds are stacked against him here at the start. All right, well, let's give the players a signal and see what they do with it. Here we go.
Okay, we have to choose our cards now.
So as a reminder, the players are going to burn 1 card in their hand, and they're also going to pick 1 card as their successor. Boot of the Beast, glad you could join, by the way.
First. I think you're going to go first. Oops, that's the wrong. I'm going to flip your king for you right off the bat. If you don't mind.
Pro strategy here. Obviously, pretending like he doesn't know the right rules just to intimidate him into flipping his king early. Nah, just kidding. But
Okay.
he did decide that masterx goes first.
Hold on. Before you go, I need to choose my successor.
Because you would have expected that Mr. Rogers would use that Inquisitor to punitively take out either the Oathbound, the Mystic, or the Elder. But he decided to let masterx go first. I'm not sure if I like that move, but we'll see what happens. He knows that masterx could not use the Inquisitor because he has one in his hand and one's face up burn. But
that's right. So quick look at the burns. masterx burn the Judge has the Assassin as his successor card.
Soldier, and I'm going to say queen.
Okay.
I do have a queen.
Guesses the queen. Now his
Cool.
soldier becomes a value of 7.
So soldier becomes a 7. He now knows,
So
confirmed,
that becomes a 7.
that Will has the queen in his hand, didn't make it his successor, which could be useful later. Will
This is
burned
actually
the soldier
exactly why-
and has the warlord as his successor card.
Yeah, this is exactly why I didn't want Mr. Rogers to give up the first player, because of this situation right here. Now that he has the warlord down, he has to either use an 8, a 9, or flip his king. Although, to be fair, flipping his king is actually not terrible because of the whole assassin thing, but he doesn't know that the assassin is actually sitting face down in front of Master X. So now he's already in a tough pickle. See, this is why I'm not a huge fan of not going first with this hand. We'll see what he decides to do. Looks like he's hovering over that sentry there. Golly me, is he thinking about that Oathbound for a second? Huh.
Be surprised to go with the Oathbound. I mean, for him right now, I would use the
I'm
8s to
gonna
put pressure.
play the sentry as a casual 8.
Okay. Casual 8th century. That means he's not using the ability.
That's right. The sentry has the ability where you can disgrace it to trade a card in your hand with a face-up card in the court. The only thing out there is a soldier, not worth flipping. Better to use the 8 to put pressure.
This might be a good flip opportunity, I think. He's thinking about it.
That's right. If he flips, it will telegraph the fact that that's the assassin as his successor, because that's the only way he could flip with such confidence. But at the same time,
Going to play Oathbound.
Oh, he's going straight into the Oathbound. Is he going to do the Oathbound Mystic?
So I believe that disgraces the sentry.
Ooh.
he wanted to
use
use
it.
the fool to pick the sentry up,
It's all
but the
good.
Oathbound, in its
Wait, am I right about
power,
that? Yeah, disgrace
Yeah,
that
yeah,
card.
yeah. I just forgot.
You can take
about
that
the
back if you
rules.
want. Gentlemen's fine.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Gentlemen. Invoking the gentleman's
And
rule
then
so
I'm
early.
going to play a fool.
Okay. So now he
And
can
I
either take the Oathbound or the
guess I'll
soldier.
take the soldier.
You also can take back the Oathbound. And by the way, this combo is unking's hand blockable. So
Got it. I'll go soldier.
so yeah,
Just a simple soldier picked up.
clearly Master X wanted that sentry. A bit of rules confusion there because the Oathbound does disgrace the card it's played on if it's a higher number than itself, as you can see from its text there. And that rules confusion may cost Master X here because that's not the most powerful way he could have used that combo.
That's absolutely right, especially if Mr. Rogers had both royalty in his hand. He might have needed to save that, or just even for that 8. That 8 is going to be devastating for him,
Okay.
which is the king's
I
hand.
am going to play the Inquisitor.
Okay.
And you're just going to go ahead and ask, do you have the assassin in your hand?
Nope.
Ah, so he is rewarded for not pulling the assassin out from his successor hiding spot for this
Okay.
exact reason.
So yeah, he has a successor
I'm
beat the
going
assassin. Ooh,
To...
he might want to play the soldier here. This might be a good time for him to put the pressure back on.
So Dot Sam, the question was, what are Master X's successor and burn card? Successor is the assassin, burn card was the judge. I would agree, soldier here could put pressure, but he's going for the mystic.
And say...
The number 8.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
That should disgrace that card for using its
So
power.
that disgraces it. Correct?
Almost
Yep.
like he's listening to me. Hey, Will, can you hear me? Just kidding.
So the mystic, again, if you use its power, it gets disgraced, but you can pick any number between 1 and 8, and any cards of that number lose that power, and after they're played, become
I'm going to
3s.
flip my king.
He is flipping his king, so this is his defense against Master X's assassin that could be
And it's your
lurking
turn.
as that successor card, and that's the only reason why he flipped
Hey.
his king.
Wow, he flipped the king on a disgraced card,
I'm
thus
going to
rendering
play-
Master X's hidden assassin useless.
Yep, he's nullified the assassin essentially.
Master X is in a desperate situation now. He has no pressure he can really put on Mr. Rogers with his hand. His highest card numerically is a soldier. His successor card is useless.
And say queen.
I have a queen. So that becomes a 7. I'm going to play the king's hand, which you have removed its abilities, and it becomes a 3 on the deck. But because it doesn't become a 3 until on the deck, I can play it on a 7 still.
That's absolutely right. So he's playing it as an 8, but because of the mystic, it becomes a value of 3 and has no ability.
So with Will's hand,
I'm going to flip the king.
That assassin's going to be the pain point in his hand. If he can get rid of the assassin somehow, which I don't think there is any way that he can do so, then he could have made this a 1-point loss. But I think this is going to be a 2-point loss.
You flip the king, and then it's my turn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sina. It looked the zealot and the elder. If he could get him to play the queen, then the elder he could play. The zealot can be played on anything besides the queen. But I just don't see any way he can get rid of that assassin at this point. I think he's stuck with it. I think he's stuck with a 2-point loss here.
I'm going to play the queen. And she will automatically... Tabletop Simulator, you're killing me. There we go. Kill all...
Shout out for Tabletop Simulator,
start a new pile
allowing us to play this game during these times.
I'll play Elder.
So the Elder can be played on any royalty, so that nullifies that. The only issue is that Master X only has a 2 and a 3, so he's praying that for some reason
I'll play Casual Oathbound.
Mr. Rogers just threw away all of his high cards, but which is unlikely.
Zealot.
And here comes the killer right here.
Yep. Either card that Mr. Rogers plays, Master X has no answer for.
A Warlord, which becomes, I think, a 9 once it's in the court because of the royalty that's face up.
And I lose.
Oh my gosh! Oh, you did not have the princess. Oh no! Oh no! Okay, well.
Will obviously playing it like he thought that they had the princess there, so.
That's rough.
Yeah, Will might feel a little bad, maybe thinking he could have 3-pointed that instead of flipping his king to nullify the assassin. But still a strong play on his side.
Did you get 3 points for that?
No, because I flipped.
Oh, okay.
You had cards. Yeah, so I get 2 points.
Nicely done.
A little bit of
Probably could have got a
gentlemanly
little more
banter there.
aggressively if I knew that you did not have the princess.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. So yeah, I mean, there you go. There you have it. The first game in the books. 2 points to Mr. Rogers. And yeah, I mean, how do you think that game went, Dan?
I think, given the initial draw, I think that went about to form. I think Master X, he had a shot at that. I think he had a shot at that hand. I think what cooked him, again, was not getting the most out of his fool play, his Oathbound fool play. Right. And, once that happened, I think the best he could expect was to minimize his loss. And he managed to get Will to flip his king, so at least it's just a 2-point loss. And I think he'll just have to lick his wounds and move on. So I think he's still in a decent spot.
Yep, absolutely. I think that Mr. Rogers is going to kick himself a little bit for not going aggressively after those 3 points. But I think Sweet and Steady wins the race, and he's got 2 points, so that's pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these next hands, huh?
All right, let's take a look at our face-up and face-down burn card. Face-up burn card's the Assassin, so that's not going to be in play. The face-down is the Zealot. So, interesting, no Assassin in play will change things a lot. The True King passes the Master X since he lost the first hand. Let's take a look what Master X has in store. And it's a pretty meaty hand. Princess, King's Hand, Sentry, both Oathbounds, the Soldier, the Judge, and the Inquisitor. Pretty strong top end here, Sina.
Yeah, this is like the reverse. He reverse ordered his hands, maybe to throw Mr. Rogers off. But I really like this. Both of these hands are actually really interesting, and there's no assassin. So we're going to see pretty much them duking it out without any fear of the assassin. Without that pressure, it becomes a really different game. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. We know that Mr. Rogers is going to have the Fool, but he doesn't have any Oathbounds to back it up. So we'll see. This really is going to depend on what they discard and what they put as their successor.
That's right. So jumping across the table to look at Mr. Rogers' hand. Fool, both Elders, Inquisitor, Soldier, both 7s, the Warlord and the Mystic, and the Queen.
Yeah, I think Master X has an edge on this one just because he's got the 8s rather than the 7s. But I do think that Mr. Rogers, I mean, I would have loved to have a nice Oathbound into Mystic to hit those 8s. But in this case, I think he's just going to have to settle with trying to kill it with the Mystic. If I am Master X, I probably would not give up initiative here and go first.
I would agree with that. Most likely, I'm going to guess he's going to burn one of those Elders since he won't likely need both. But we will see. Jumping in to hand number 2. We're giving him the signal. Let's see what they do.
All right, so you get to decide who goes first this time.
I'll have you go first.
Okay.
All right, burn card for Master X. He burned one of his Oathbounds. Burn card for Mr. Rogers. As expected, one of the 2 Elders. Interesting. They're considering their successor options very carefully.
Yeah, I mean, I think this really literally will make or break their hand. So this is a really big decision.
So, Sina, what kind of calculations are they making, especially not needing to worry about the assassin affecting a king flip? What are the sorts of things they're thinking about right now?
I mean, I think Master X has got to know that he's got the power in this hand, right? He's got the Princess, which is arguably one of the better dueling royalty because you have the ability to swap a card. He's got both top end 8s. He's got an Oathbound to get him out of any sort of pickle. I think that's yeah. I mean, he's putting the Oathbound down. That's interesting. And what did Mr. Rogers put down as his successor there?
He put the Warlord down.
All right, my turn.
Oh, he loves putting the Warlord down
go.
lately. I wonder why. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. He's going to probably start off with either the Soldier or the Inquisitor here, I assume. I think he wants to try to get a Disgraced card as soon as possible in order to use the Mystic's power.
That's right, to try to wipe those 8s. And Boot of the Beast, you're right. This art is fantastic. Again, many thanks to Mike Draws Dota for creating the terrific art that we see here and all those little subtle differences as well. Top notch. Will thinking it through hard. Mr. Rogers thinking through. The beginning of this is going to be very important.
I'm going to play an Inquisitor first.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you... I'm going to ask you if you have a... Judge.
That's an interesting
Yes.
one to pull.
Very interesting.
I don't know what he's trying to do with this.
So I have to play
because
that now?
You must play that, yes.
So now Master X plays the Judge, which is probably a pretty strong play here in either case.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what he was going with there. He could put his Soldier as his antechamber card if he gets this correct. And that's really powerful.
Yeah, 7's put a lot of pressure on Mr. Rogers' hand. He could also put his Inquisitor down.
I'll go...
So Master X has to guess correctly here. A card in... Oh, there we go. Got it.
I do have a queen.
So now he can put something to his antechamber. He could put either his Inquisitor if he wants to fire off a salvo, or a Soldier if he wants to put
So now I
number
get to play
pressure.
anything next?
You
regardless
may
of what it
play a card to your antechamber that must go on the board next time.
So that's right. The Judge, if you guess correctly, means you can put a card in your own antechamber, anything besides the Fool.
Nice.
So he's going to play the Inquisitor next turn. A good choice.
I will play a Soldier. And I would like to know if you have a Princess.
I do have a Princess.
Oh,
As
I
part of the
think I'm
soldier's
starting to
abilities,
understand.
I can disgrace up to 3 cards in the court.
He's
And
doing
since
this so
you're
that
playing
way.
that Inquisitor anyway, I'm just going to disgrace all of them.
This is exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to
Okay.
disgrace things in the
I'll
court so he
play
can play as
Inquisitor.
Mystic.
Okay.
And I will say
What an interesting trap. I've never seen that
Queen.
before.
Okay, my queen comes out.
So he can do that.
Inquisitor brings the queen onto the court, which also disgraces everything in the court. And it's to you.
So he's guaranteed getting a disgraced card, but now Master X
I'm going to flip
has
the king,
Perfect play by Master X here, by the way. By
initiative.
and it's you now.
Because now he still keeps his 9.
Keeps his 9, and the Fool is useless
I
for
am
Will.
going to play a
Here we go. Here
Mystic.
comes the Mystic to 8.
And unless you have anything to say about it, I am
Hint,
going
hint.
to say the number 8.
Wait,
He could say it. He could
can
say
I
it
play
after
the
the
king's
target.
hand?
I believe that you can. Yeah, she's not immune.
So does that mean it gets played on top of it?
No, so we put that in our hand and then flip it over. And then for my turn, it goes away, it's discarded. Then yours goes away and gets discarded, and then it's my.
Oh, okay.
That's right. King's Hand is effectively can be used as a counter spell type card.
I'm just gonna play a Humble Fool.
So Mr. Rogers elects to dump the Fool, not because there's anything to pick up, there isn't, but just so he can play it. Because I think with the use of the king
I'm
by
going
Master
to
X,
play
there's no other
Oh,
opportunity coming.
That's a early princess.
He's just going to force a king flip here if he uses the princess.
You
Or
seem to be
the-
lagging a little.
Or the elder
yeah,
play.
I can't drag. Oh, there we go. Use the ability.
You want to swap with me?
Uh-oh. This is not going to be a great swap. And he's tossing an Oathbound instead of the soldier. Surprising move.
Okay. On that princess, I will flip my king.
That's to be expected from Mr. Rogers there.
Disgraces her.
And so Master X has a winning move
Answer.
here, right? No, actually, because he let go of the Oathbound, he's actually only going to lose 1 point.
I'm going to play.
He's going to want to play the one card, either an Elder or a Soldier, and guess wrong. In order to keep the level, he just gave an Oathbound, so he needs to make sure that he plays something low. Oh no. Just play something low.
There it is.
There, oh thank goodness.
Elder.
Okay. The reason why this is important because now Mr. Rogers can't escape with a 1 point loss because he will have a card in his hand if he loses. If Master X had played like the
I'll
8, for
play
example, he could have done the Oathbound into his other
Oathbound?
card.
That's right. So the Oathbound can only invoke its power if it's played on a higher card. Otherwise, it must just be played as a 6. Now, Master X has to play his Sentry. Mr. Rogers has no play on top of the Sentry. It'll end up being a 2-point win for Master X to level this game.
I'm going to play Sentry.
Okay. And I cannot play on the Sentry because it's not silenced by the Mystic, and there's no royalty in the court, which would let me do that. So I think you win 2 points.
Nice.
Good game.
That was an excellent
Please
match.
keep your eyes on the Discord.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Oops.
So yeah, it looks like they are neck to neck on this when it comes to score, but the gameplay itself is really interesting. So yeah, I mean, that was an interesting play. That judge, I think maybe Mr. Rogers was underestimating the power of the judge, as so many people do. Looking at you, Hogwild for Biden, who's in the chat here. But essentially, that judge crippled him. I think that play. I thought it was really interesting because I think he was trying to force the fact that he wanted to have Master X play something and have to play something no matter what, so that way he gets a free Mystic in right afterwards. But the issue is that he played an Inquisitor and was able to take initiative after that. So
That's exactly right. I think, and this is something that Mr. Rogers and I can talk about afterwards. I think he may have overthought the beginning of that one a little bit, and I think that's ultimately what cost him. Because there are other ways to get a disgraced card going that don't require letting the opponent play what he would normally want to play anyway, which is the judge with the second card. And I think he lost tempo there that ended up ultimately costing him. But as it is, the match is now level to a piece between Master X and Mr. Rogers. The True King passes back to Mr. Rogers. Let's see what the burn cards are now. The face-up burn card will be a Humble Soldier. The face-down is an Oathbound. All right, let's take a look at what is in Mr. Rogers' hand. And it's an interesting hand indeed. Both the Fool and the Assassin, both Inquisitors, the Judge, the Sentry, and both Royalty cards. A tough, strong hand.
Yep, absolutely want to go first here. I'm wondering whether he's going to keep that Fool, but he can just volley out Inquisitor after Inquisitor asking for Elders, which we know are in Master X's hands, and his counter to those two royalties. So this is a pretty powerful hand, and I think Mr. Rogers should go first.
That's right. Now, speaking of, across the table, Master X is going to have the counter cards to royalty, the Oathbound, both Elders, a Zealot, Soldier, Warlord, Mystic, and King's Hand.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. I honestly think that Master X is going to have to be really careful. And this is one of those situations where having the True King really will make or break the game. I think the fact that Mr. Rogers can choose who goes first here is really going to make it a potential 3-point hand.
That's right. If Mr. Rogers roots out those Elders early, I would very much like his chances for a big win. If those Elders can hang around, and if Master X can hang around because of it, this could go either way. We'll see as we zoom back to our overhead view and let him get ripping.
So you giving Mr. Rogers private lessons on the side there, Dan? You mentioned.
You want to go first?
No. I'm just.
No, I think, let me think here real quick.
We just had the interview room afterwards.
Oh, I see.
I think that I am going to go first.
Okay, smart idea.
Okay.
All right, burn card for Master X is
Yeah, me
the
trying to do a fancy
Oathbound.
thing, letting you go first last time really screwed me up, actually. So,
We'll talk
or
you
no,
through this
when you
process
made
here.
me go first, it screwed up my whole strategy.
You
and
made
I
me go
did a whole
first.
complicated thing.
He's really
and
kicking
then-
himself over that.
So Master X burned the Oathbound, surprisingly, and has the Zealot as a successor, common successor. Interesting. Mr. Rogers burned one of his
man.
Inquisitors.
I would have loved to keep that one to just volley off the Inquisitor volley on the Elders there, and it would have worked too.
And judges his successor.
And I'm going to go first.
Oh, look at that. He's only got top end cards here. So if he plays that Inquisitor and fails, then that Soldier that Master X can counter with
And
is
I
going to
am
do
going to
damage.
Inquisit
Hopefully he gets the right thing here. I'm sure he will.
and ask if you have the Mystic.
It's not the Mystic. Okay.
Do you have the Mystic?
Interesting. Pulling the Mystic.
Does that mean
I'm
I have
down
to
about
play it?
That means that you'll need to play that on your next turn unless you want to King's Hand that card.
I love how he gives that option. He's like, if you want to spend your 8 for that 4,
So the
feel
Mystic,
free.
the Mystic can't be triggered here. There's nothing disgraced in the court. I'm a bit surprised. I'm guessing that Mr. Rogers did not want the Mystic as a countermeasure to his Assassin. I think he's going for an Assassin win based off that play.
Or if he might be actually thinking about centering for
And I'm
that
going
Mystic
to play
and trading the Fool.
Sentry.
Oh, is he going to do it? Do it, Mr. Rogers.
And this is interesting. I'm actually going to disgrace this and trade out the Fool for the Mystic.
Interesting.
I would definitely King's Hand this if I was
This
Master
might
X.
be new in Imposter Kings. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that before. I'm playing some very unorthodox Fools this time.
No, I've done it myself. Well, come on.
That's a
Don't-
big one
do
because
that to me.
he wants that Mystic
Going
to
to
wipe the
go-
3s out.
That is
Soldier.
exactly right. And that is all of Master X's cards. Master X can
Say
still
Assassin.
Mystic it.
I have the assassin.
Or
Or
sorry, King's Hand the Mystic.
Oh. Okay.
Now he's between a rock and a hard place. He has to use that King's
I
Hand
am
either
going
on the
to
Mystic.
play the Mystic.
he's got to
the
use the king's
assassin.
hand here.
And because there's disgraced cards in the court, I'm going to say the number 3.
What did you say there, Dan?
He's got to use the king's hand here, or he will be
Ooh.
in desperate shape.
Well, he has no way to deal with that assassin
That's
anyways.
a big one.
Is it?
Can I King's Hand that?
You can.
Okay.
Okay, so this one goes away. Flips is discarded. Yours is discarded. It's back to my turn.
I think you're right. I think that's a better play than
And this is
having
a
that
7,
destroy
correct?
thing.
Yes.
Because one thing is, so let's say Will plays
Okay,
both
I'm
of
going
his
to flip
royalty
my king.
cards. Nope, he's going to use king flip now.
Rhyme me what is. There it is, the judge. This is tough.
Okay.
He has no counterplay for that assassin.
He doesn't. Hard to see what will get him out of this jam. He does have the warlord if he can get it down. I'm not seeing it as being likely for him being able to, but we'll see.
I would have really liked Mr. Rogers to go for a 3-point hand there, but again, 2
Warlord?
points, never bad.
So warlord to force one of the royalty cards to come out.
Okay, humble 7.
He's using your vernacular. You have been training him. Now he's thinking through all the permutations. He must know that he has a double 3 there. But once he gets through those 2 3s, then it's assassination time. And you know he's going to spin that assassination card.
That's right. Yeah, things are looking bleak here for Master X. I don't see a way for him to get out of
I
this.
am going to play the princess. And I would like to use its ability.
Right idea. Now he's forcing
Yikes.
him to take
Okay.
one of his elders for a judge.
I know what I'm getting. Oh.
Kind of curious
he was
what
thinking he was
Master
gonna
X
get.
thought he was getting. Yeah.
Okay,
Christmas time.
Elder.
Okay.
That would have been.
I will go queen.
There it is.
Flip all of these.
And the only option now for Master X is the king flip.
Is he gonna do the twist?
Is a spin
this one-
happening? There it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will flip my king.
There it is.
Yep.
And there it is.
Ouch.
That's not a bad slide.
Oh,
I
that was
give
good.
that
That was
maybe
a
a
good
7 out of
game.
10 on execution. Would have been better if he got the spin while I was spinning across, but that's a
Sad
2-point
face.
hand for Mr. Rogers using the assassination.
Yep, assassin win. They always feel very satisfying to pull off. 2 points to Mr. Rogers there.
So do you get 2 for that?
The answer there is yes. And yes, that puts Mr. Rogers up 4-2, which means a 3-point hand will put him over the top and into the next round in the winner's bracket. So very strong play there. Sina, it seemed like some very canny and smart planning by Mr. Rogers there to extract the Mystic out, which really made that hand his.
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's tough because he had to have an idea of what he had to have played there in order to succeed. And one of the things was, should I take that, should I use my Sentry and take that Mystic? And the issue is that Master X just didn't have a way to deal with that assassin. And that was kind of the big deal is great that you know that he has it in his hand, but you didn't have anything to do with it. And that was the biggest issue. So we'll see if he's able to get some tools to help him out this time. It looks like the assassin so far is not showing up. Let's see which card it decides to be.
That's right. It's always a delight when it's the face down burn card. We'll see if it is. It is not. It's the face up one again. And the face down one is the Mystic this time. Interesting. So no assassin in play either. More of a heads up battle. The true king passes back to Master X, who will choose who goes first, which has been pivotal so far in this match. Let's take a look at his hand. Fool, Elder, Inquisitor, Judge, Oathbound, Warlord, Sentry, Queen. A rainbow hand, pretty reasonable hand. A lot of hay potentially to make here with this one.
Yes, and the proverbial hay being the fact that that he has the 6-1 combo, whereas Mr. Rogers does not. And so I feel like this is going to have that edge. However, Mr. Rogers does have the Mystic, which means he has a little bit more staying power, as well as the King's Hand, so he can actually cancel out one of the cards if he feels like it. So I know we're talking about the wrong set of hands here, but this is a really powerful hand. I think both sides are going to have a really interesting, without the fear of the assassin, a really interesting row back and forth.
That's right. Jumping across the table then to look at said hand, Mr. Rogers' hand. He's already in the process of burning and successoring. We'll catch up. Looks like he successored the Zealot. We'll see what his burn card was. In his hand is going to be Elder, Inquisitor, Soldier, Oathbound, King's Hand, and Princess.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got the Zealot, which is going to help him late game. He's got a couple of other cards, and I mean, he's still got the Rainbow. I wonder what happened to his Mystic.
The Mystic is the face down burner.
I see.
He
Okay, so
tossed
this is
away
gonna
his Soldier.
Yeah, this might be a little bit hard for Mr. Rogers. We'll see how he deals with this. So he must have. What was his throwaway card?
His throwaway was the Soldier.
Okay, you just said that. Yeah, I think I favor Master X on this one as long as he masterfully X plays it.
Yeah, I give this one, this is going to be all about execution. I think the hands are pretty even. It's all just going to be about how it plays, and it all starts with the decision on who goes first. Looks like Master X is actually going to tuck the Sentry, interestingly, as the successor card. Let's see what he chooses to do.
All right, so I think they're underway.
Right.
So Mr. Rogers going first.
I mean, I was just mostly talking out loud there. Just trying to figure out.
Making excuses for why he's moving faster. He's already got a plan, I think. What are you gonna pull? What would you pull here if you decide to play the Inquisitor? What would you pull, Dan?
You know, with his hand, you know, again, the Mystic is the thing that's missing. With his hand, if I played the Inquisitor first, I'd be inclined to either pull the Fool or the Warlord. Those would be the two I'd go after.
Yeah, not very many people pull
I
the,
am
the,
going
the
to
Fool.
put out the Inquisitor.
I probably would call the Mystic, which would make me a lot of trouble.
And I am going to ask for your Sentry.
Oh, no.
No Sentry.
He guesses the card that he puts down as his successor.
Good to know, good to know. It is your turn.
Interesting. That Sentry successor play really paying off.
To put out my Inquisitor.
See who Master X tries to pull.
Ask for your Mystic.
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
Another whiff.
I do not have a Mystic.
The Mystic is the face down burn this hand.
That is interesting.
So 2 swings and a miss.
It's a shame. King's Hand would have been a pretty good guess there. As a way, again, of forcing out the tall cards to minimum effect.
Well, but you know that
Well,
he
as
doesn't.
long as
But
we're
the
asking
Mystic
for
is really powerful to try to get
cards,
out.
I'm going to put out a Soldier, and I will ask, not to make you play, but just to find out.
Will really talking through his thought process. I love it. At this point, he should know about everything except
Do
for.
you have a Mystic?
No.
Wow. All right. Well, now they definitely.
Mind games.
Okay.
At this
Okay,
point, the
that's a
players have
5.
got to be confident
Okay.
that the Mystic is the face down burn. That's not the kind of card you play 90 chess over.
Judge
He's got to ask for the Mystic here.
and ask.
Uh-oh.
Oh. If you have a queen.
Sorry, a queen?
Yeah.
I do not have a
Whoa.
queen.
Okay.
I think he meant to say princess there because he has the queen.
Yeah, unless he's pulling an assassin double cross with the queen. Now that's interesting because Sam is exactly right.
Now I'm confused.
If Mr. Rogers, Mr. Rogers should know every card based off of that exchange. You should know the Mystic is the face down burn card. He knows that Master X is not going to throw away the Sentry as the burn, so he should know the successor is the Sentry, and he should be able to piece together basically everything else, including what's in Master X's hand based off of that.
I'm going to play a casual Oathbound.
But with Master X pulling that off, of guessing the queen when the queen's in his hand, it would seem like everything is now up in the air because that's a really weird, unpredictable, and thus potentially pretty powerful kind of play.
Yeah, right. Full like your own full Oathbound
Why
combo.
isn't it working?
Uh-oh.
No, we're back. We're okay.
So when Tabletop
Okay.
Simulator starts being glitchy, you just have to like hold it there for a second. Like don't release it or anything. Just like do the thing and then like wait for it to catch up.
Okay.
So let me just reset their cards here. There we go.
Okay, there's the Warlord.
Warlord hits the table. So Master X plays the Warlord, which is just a casual 7. Boot of the Beast, I'm with you there. Actually, it's probably Comcast we should be bemoaning.
Maybe why not both? Por qué no los dos?
That's
as they
right.
say.
So what's interesting here,
Yeah,
Sina?
I am going to flip my king.
King flip. Ah, okay. Now, there's not a lot... I mean, Sina, do you use the Fool here?
I'm going to.
I think I would, honestly, because then it would give me card advantage, plus 2 cards versus what he has, and then you'd have 2 Oathbound, so you could sacrifice 2 of those card advantages, if you will.
I think that's right. That's exactly...
flip my king too.
Whoa.
Interesting.
That's...
That is not what I would want to see, because the only issue there now is
Interesting.
he has no way to deal with that princess other than his queen. Well, I guess that's not true. He's got the Oathbounds, the Oathbound, singular for now, but I think he could have had a stronger advantage if he had just gone with
Yeah, he's not
Yeganeh.
likely to get another opportunity to play the Fool. So...
I mean, well, he's got the combo, but I think if he'd played the Fool for free there, Mr. Rogers has 2 choices. 1, let it happen and be down 2 cards, or 2, use the King's Hand. And the King's Hand at 8 for a 1 is really painful.
Oh gosh, the mind games from earlier now are screwing me up.
Yeah, that queen guess, again, really undoes
mind
Mr.
game.
Rogers' calculus there.
I play no mind games. I want you to know that.
Ooh, now he's playing
Didn't
mind
you
games
ask
by
me for a
saying he plays no
mystic
mind
after I
games.
asked you for a mystic?
Again, we're in a case where the players really should know exactly what's
that
in their
wasn't mind
opponent's
games. That was
hand.
me thinking you were playing mind games.
Okay.
Now they're negotiating terms and conditions.
But you asking for the queen, that had to be mind games. So
So what is he going to do about it?
I think what we're going to do here is that I'm going to play...
Oh, no, but if he plays the King's Hand, he loses his ability to... Oh, well, I guess that's fine. I'm just worried about that Sentry, but we'll see what happens.
This really
The
can go
king's-
either way.
Yeah,
And I think,
he just showed it.
yeah, a Sentry play with that Fool lurking could be extremely powerful here for Master X. Especially if a King's Hand gets played to hoover it up and trade the Fool for it, would, I think, give him the inside track to...
I know, I'm taking too long here. Too many possibilities. Okay, yeah, I'm going to play the King's Hand straight up.
Straight up King's Hand.
So the business casual 8 hits the table. So...
Annotators going crazy on the annotation bench here, marking the queen play or the queen guess as a exclamation question mark. play.
I'm with you. That's Sam. That's exactly the same notation I would have done. I can't tell if that was a mistake or genius, and it may prove to be either one here.
I'll play
Sorry to interrupt there, Dan, but he's got to play the sentry to pick up that king's hand.
Sentry.
Will he invoke it?
And so I can
reckon he
disgrace this and then swap it with any card that's face up.
You can swap a card from your hand with any face-up card. Yes.
Okay.
So one from your hand has to go in.
So I'll take King's Hand.
So there it is.
And
Fool should
I'll
be.
put in.
Oh, he's debating.
What is he debating here? He's not going to get. Yep, there it is.
Man, the Fool is not seeing a lot of use today, is it?
It is
Yeah,
not.
it's too bad that Johnny Go's not here because he would have loved to see how many times the
this
Fool's
goes
been
in over here.
just
So
not
it says
used.
one that, or I guess we're doing one that I'm playing on anyway.
Yeah.
So barring. Well, Mr. Rogers actually can still win this depending on how the sequence goes, but I'd like Master X's position here.
Yep, absolutely. What would you do as Mr. Rogers here?
Again, if you just ignore that queen play, you know exactly what's in his hand. I would just root out my 1 point loss. Just go, well, actually, yeah, I'd probably go Elder,
Right.
and then Princess, and then Zealot to finish it out, and then take my 1 point licking. What would you do here?
Well, I mean, it depends, right? Because he could Oathbound into. If you go with the Elder first, they play King's Hand. It's actually. I think it's in Master X's.
An Elder.
It's Master X's flavor here, but it's the swap
Okay.
that really matters. The issue is you cannot play the Zella on the Queen, and that's what I'm concerned about. And he still has the
I'll
King's Hand.
play an Oathbound.
And so if Mr. Rogers tries to use the swap, he can King's Hand that.
My Zealot can be played on any card because it is.
Yep, he went
my
for the
King's
1
been
point
played.
hand here. Or 1 point loss, I mean.
Yep.
Right play. I think that's the right thing to do because I think he naturally will lose that since he has to play first.
All right, there's the Princess. The Queen comes out. The
Oh,
Queen.
nicely done. Okay. Well, I think that's 1 point to you.
Yep, the Queen now reigns the kingdom, as is fitting.
Do you think I should have gotten 2 points from that?
He's asking his
Tough to say.
opponent.
I had a pretty defensive hand.
Let's see what he
Yeah,
thinks.
tough to say.
Yeah.
I personally think that Will is lucky to get away with that. That 1 point hand is not a bad thing comparatively if you looked at both hands and comparatively with all the mind games that were happening. So if I was him, I would be happy with just getting away with one.
Well, I would, given how things were towards the end game, but I think he had a winnable hand there, and I think Master X's mind game there, intentional or not, really paid off. And I think we're going to have a mulligan here in a moment. We'll see. All right, let's take a look at what the burn cards are. The face-up burn card is the Princess. Face down is an Inquisitor. So Mr. Rogers now has the True King, having lost the last hand. Let's take a look at his hand. And like many struggle hands, there's a lot of cards in the middle and none at the edges. Sina, would you play this one?
You know me, I always play cards. That's a tough one. I mean, at least he has the Mystic. That's the saving grace. But yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. If I was in a tournament, probably would use this mulligan.
Yeah, again, cards.
Very cool colors.
That's true. You know, you get a chilly hand with 3s and 4s and 5s and none of the things at the edges. You want the barbell typically, and that's not what he has. Going across the
Barbell.
table.
Beautiful, Dan.
Here it is. Queen, both 8s, King's Hand Sentry, the Warlord, the Oathbound Judge, and the Assassin and Fool. So the full rainbow, including the barbell. How are you feeling right now if you're Master X?
I feel like I need 3 points immediately with post haste.
So let's see if they choose to play this one. We're giving them a signal, and we'll see what Will wants to do. He's
Are you
tossing
going
it.
first?
No, I'm mulliganing.
Oh.
All right, well, there it goes.
So as a reminder, both...
I figured I'd let him discuss it a little bit, but that was going to be a tough one for me.
Yeah,
I can look at what I had. 3s and 5s in abundance.
yeah,
Wait, so are you allowed to mulligan whenever you want?
You get 1 free mulligan. After that, you can mulligan again, but it costs you 2 points.
so Will beat me to the punch on the explanation.
Every draw that we do, I have to decide. Basically, I only mulligan a hand if I think I'm going to lose by 3 points.
That's one strategy because, it depends, obviously. You should always use your mulligan to make sure you have the best hands. But it was really funny because, as I said before the show, Master X doesn't really know all the rules of the game, yet he's doing such a strong showing. It's really quite impressive, honestly.
That's absolutely right. Again, on that hand, so as a reminder again, Mr. Rogers nailed it, but each player gets 1 mulligan for the match. That's free, no questions asked. Any future mulligan after that one costs 2 points. So now any future mulligans Mr. Rogers wants to do will cost him 2. The face-up burn card here is a sentry. The face-down is a princess. Interesting. So 2
Big
top
high
cards. Yeah. So both players are going to be playing at the bottom end of the spectrum. Mr. Rogers retains the True King. Let's see what he got in his hand. Interesting hand. He got the Fool, both Elders, Inquisitor, Judge, Oathbound, Mystic, King's Hand, Rainbow Hand, missing a royalty card. What are your thoughts here, Sina?
It's a little bit more scary if you don't know that the other player does not have one of the royalty cards. However, you still have that Oathbound Fool combo. He's got 2 ways, 3 ways, all 3 ways to deal with the Assassin. It's not a terrible hand, so we'll see.
That's right. Juno Balls, great to see you, by the way. Indeed, it's 4-3, Mr. Rogers over Master X. One thing to note, this hand will feel a lot worse than it actually is based off of player knowledge because of that face-down princess. So you suspect that your opponent has both royalty cards, but he does not. So speaking of what's in Master X's hand, Assassin, Zealot, Inquisitor, both soldiers, Oathbound, Warlord, Queen.
And this is funny because, again, both players, this is a Twilight Struggle situation where both players are feeling pressure, I think, but for different reasons. And so it'll be really interesting to see what happens here.
All right, we're going to zoom overhead and give him the signal and see who Mr. Rogers wants to go first. I see his hand reaching. He's going to go first, taking initiative. So I was going to say maybe the judge lead off, but he flipped it. Makes me wonder if he's going to burn it. Normally,
how much I love that judge play.
Okay.
Especially in this situation. This is where you would use specifically the judge Inquisitor play. Using the judge to see if they have the assassin in their hand. If they do, you get your Inquisitor in the queue for next play. Oh. He's just doing some styling there.
Interesting.
Before
So he made the right call to burn the Elder.
Okay.
Sometimes you might hold on to both if you think your opponent has both royalty cards. Master X burned the Soldier. Master X's successor is the Warlord.
Sorry,
Mr. Rogers' successor
If I
is
take
the
that
Elder.
back, I will. I was the wrong part.
That's a
I was gonna
risk.
say, no one cares about the judge, but it looks like he's taking it back.
So it's interesting that Mr. Rogers successored
I'm going to use the
an
judge.
Elder here. That's risky with the Assassin unaccounted for.
I think he knows he can get rid of the assassin, especially with this play. Did he make a guess? I couldn't hear.
Don't think he did.
I think maybe he's still thinking about it.
What I'm surprised about is this is the first time I've noticed that the judge's 5 goes underneath her hat.
Yeah, there's some depth to these
And I
pictures.
think I'm going to ask you if you have the...
Do the assassin.
Warlord.
Ah,
No,
goes to the warlord.
Okay.
So Warlord is Master X's
The
successor.
soldier. And
Also highlight the burn card so that way they don't.
after you have the
This is the
mystic.
mystic.
I do.
Got it. So he does
Aha.
not want to burn any cards here.
Yeah, knowing the Mystic is
And
in.
do you want to disgrace any cards?
He knows Mr. Rogers has the Mystic. He doesn't want to tee up the Mystic by burning or disgracing a card in the court. So he
I have a
should.
feeling Mr. Rogers would even tell him if he was going to do that in his pure Mr. Rogers way.
Well, Mr. Rogers is known for his
Oh,
kindness.
so you don't have to play the Mystic. It's another card.
That's correct. That would have made this a 7, but it's not now.
Oh wait, I have to disgrace a card to make that a 7?
No, he
If
guessed
you want it
right.
to be a 7, yes.
No, that's not true. We need to
Oh.
correct
I
that.
think. Wait, let me see. Oh no, it doesn't.
Oh.
Yeah, you can also, if you guessed right, you could do either of those things, and you can. It is a 7, and you don't have to disgrace. You may disgrace.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to disgrace.
That's the smart Mr. Rogers, for the first time in his entire Imposter King's career, has made a mistake on the rules.
So
Do you
interesting.
want to disgrace any cards? Cap a face.
So a good play there, rooting out the Mystic, making it a 7, and I think it's actually more valuable. The knowledge, I think that was a safe guess as opposed to
Okay,
a
I'm
knowledge-seeking
going to-
guess. Because he wants that to be a 7 to put pressure on Mr. Rogers' hand. He wants number pressure.
Yeah, and Mr.
Wait, you
Rogers.
guessed correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a 7. Yes. Then I am going to Oathbound into Inquisitor,
Oh, interesting.
So getting the Inquisitor out there
and I'm going to ask if you have the Assassin.
to get the Assassin out, and it works.
I do have the Assassin.
Why don't you go ahead?
So when Will missed with the Warlord, I think that gave him the confidence to know that that Assassin was in Master X's hand.
Sorry, you cut out for just a second there.
So I was saying, I think the miss on the Warlord gave Mr. Rogers the confidence that the Warlord was the successor and the Assassin was in his hand, thus allowing him to pull the trigger on that move, which is an expensive move if you miss.
Yeah, I mean, if it was his successor card there and he didn't know that, that would have been devastating for him. Not devastating. I mean, still he had the king's hand, but it would have
Is it
made
your
him lose
turn?
tempo.
It is my turn.
Oh.
And now he doesn't have the full Oathbound combo. He's gonna have to flip his king in order to deal with that that queen.
That's true. And that's why I'm surprised that he successored his Elder like that. But I think he's assuming, again, that Master X has both royalty cards. So he's going to have to take care of both of them, one by a king flip, one through the Elder he retrieved through the king flip. Now, what he needs to do to use his Fool is to force a king flip by Master X.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is just a tough position, honestly. Both players, both under pressure with the score, both under pressure with the
I'm
high
going to
cards
play the
being
Mystic.
faced out. So he has to make a
As a 7.
decision here. Just as a 7.
Okay.
It's a great play because now he's forcing Master X's hand.
That's right. Either he's got to trot the queen out,
Okay.
or... Now, actually, trotting the queen out wouldn't be bad. It would diffuse any sort of
I'm
Fool
going
play.
to-
That's exactly right, yeah.
I'm gonna pull a page out of the will book.
But instead, he's going to do
Oh.
Oathbound
I don't
into
know if this is
Inquisitor.
good for me or not.
That's fine. We're all friends here. We're just having fun. Okay.
He says while
I'm gonna Oathbound
hardcore playing.
Okay.
into Inquisitor,
But to pull what?
That's the question.
and then
It's nice to pull the king's hand, honestly.
ask if you have the
Sure hope he doesn't say fool.
Definitely don't want to force him to
Princess.
play the Fool.
Princess.
I do not.
Ah,
Okay.
interesting.
That's just
a good data
unfortunate.
point.
Master X is
Good to
playing
know.
well
Good
here,
to know.
and it's just unfortunate that he
know.
decided to. Oop, he's checking his own cards here, and says Mr.
So-
Rogers.
so-
Maybe
so-
they discarded it.
So that's
But
it.
we'll know that's the burned card. So
Yeah, that's a big tell now. It gives them both information that the princess is the face down burn card. So they're going
And
to
that's the
play
risk.
accordingly.
yeah, that's the risk with pulling out the Inquisitor, and I mean, it really. Will, I mean, Mr. Rogers could potentially have it as his face down card, but Still, Mr. Rogers now knows that Master X does not have the princess.
I'm going to...
Would you flip your king here, Dan?
flip my king.
Yeah, I think I would, actually. I think I would want to save my king's hand. Knowing that I have the Elder for the one royalty card still unaccounted for.
And now he gets a free fool. That's the one downside with not playing that queen.
Okay.
He gets a free fool,
I'm going
but
to play the fool.
all it's going to get him is card tempo more than anything.
That's right. It'll essentially make it
grab.
so even though he went first, he won't run out of cards first.
What do you pull here? One of the Oathbounds?
That's what I would like initially gut reaction think. I would want to try to finish him off. Maybe Inquisitor to pull the queen, so that way I can play my Elder, and then the next turn finish him off with a... oh, actually, he's got the Warlord. The Warlord is tricky. You got to be careful.
It's got to be an
If you don't
Oathbound.
get rid of that. If you don't get rid of that queen, then the Warlord has a power of 9. 8 when it's in your hand, 9 when it's finally played.
Oh,
So I like the Oathbound here because what he can do is
Zealot.
potentially play the Elder here, and then Oathbound into... Oh, actually, never mind. You can't do it that way either. Well, this is tough.
Interesting. I would agree with that, Sam, that was a very heads-up play to do the second king flip, knowing with the princess where that was. This is an interesting situation now.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is probably
Let's see how lucky you got on the draw here. I'm going to do a natural 8 here.
I think this is going to lead him trouble.
This
We'll
is
Okay.
going to cook him, I think.
That's right.
If
It is.
Yeah, it has to.
If he plays the Warlord, he wins.
Go
If he
queen.
plays the Queen, I think he still wins.
Well, he can't play the Warlord.
Oh, yeah, that's right. For some reason, I thought the Princess was out, and I was like, nope, it's face down. So...
Oh, God. And here's the mind games. How much of a mind gamer are you, Master X?
What mind game could you be playing? You are the one who keeps putting it as your own successor, the Warlord. Is he...
So
Remember at the beginning of the game when I said Master X says he's going to try to copy Will? This is exactly it.
This is it. Now, Will, he doesn't know this, but he's deciding between a 1-point loss and a 2.
Yep, that's exactly right. I think he'll take the 1 point. And by that, sorry to explain to the viewers at home, if he uses his Oathbound, which can be played on a higher card, he then has to play another card. And if you have an empty hand when you lose, you only give up 1 point, or you don't give up an extra point. And so if he decides to play his Elder, and then Master X plays his Warlord.
If you only have a soldier left, I'm going to kill myself after this. I'm going to Oathbound.
He takes it safe.
Yeah,
into
it's
an
safe
Elder.
play, and he'll be rewarded for it.
Okay, good.
So Master X gets 1 point.
So he decided
So you get
that...
one for that?
You get 1 point for that, yeah.
He
If I
knew-
had gone the other way around, and you had a soldier left over, then
Well, he'd still
it
guess
would've
correctly,
been
I
2
think, wouldn't he?
points. So I made the right call.
ST.
That's right. He thought that Master X either had the soldier
Yeah,
or the
I see
Warlord
point.
left, and
That's
decided he
right.
had the Warlord, made the decision to cut his losses for a 1-point loss instead of trying for the win, and it was the right move. So that knots us up at 4 in what has been a fiercely fought battle. Both players one good hand away from advancing or losing.
Looks like Johnny goes here. He missed all 8 times where people got rid of, misused the Fool, just threw it away, discarded it, whatever. So let's see what we got here.
All right, the face-up burn is the Inquisitor. Face-down burn is the Sentry. That'll cause some mayhem.
Yeah.
The True King passes back to Mr. Rogers, losing the last hand, now knotted up at 4. Let's see what he got. The Fool and the Assassin, both Elders, the Zealot, the Inquisitor, the Oathbound, and the Princess. So both the specialty cards, but not much on the top end.
Not much on the top end, but he's still got the Oathbound Fool combo, and he's got the Assassin. So he can maybe scrape by here. As you said, Dumbbell. He's got a bit of a dumbbell here. He doesn't know that the Sentry is the face-down card. It's going to help him out a little bit.
That's right. He's got a lot of survivability. It all depends on if he can survive long enough to bring the Assassin to bear or use the Fool effectively. On the opposite side, it's nothing but top end. All 3 5s, the Oathbound, Mystic, the Warlord, the King's Hand, the Sentry's the face down burn, and the Queen.
Yeah, if I'm Mr. Rogers, I definitely need to be really careful about that Mystic play because it can be devastating to his hand. If he hits the threes even, I think that's 3 threes that are gone. So.
All right. Well, I think, again, choosing who goes first will be critical. I think choice of successor and burn card will be critical as well. Let's see what they do.
And Mr. Rogers doesn't have a mulligan anymore. I mean, he could take one and put Master X up to 6 points, but I'm not sure if this is a mulligan hand. I'm sure he can keep it down to 2.
No, this is a hand he could win with this hand. So I certainly wouldn't toss this away for 2 points. But we'll see what he wants to do. Would you go first here, or would you pass the initiative?
I think I would still want to go first. I don't know. That's tough. I know that he doesn't have any Inquisitors. If he doesn't go first, the only issue is that he could get soldiered into oblivion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Johnny Go here. I think you do have to go first because of your weakness to numbers. I think you've got to steer this hand, or you're just going to get run out by number pressure. So I think he's got to lead the dance.
I think so.
All right.
To do.
The burn cards. Master X burns one of his Oathbound, or burns an Oathbound, and Mr. Rogers burns one of his 2 elders. The right move there, likely. Successor for Master X is his Mystic. Interesting.
The Mystic. Yeah.
And looks like Mr. Rogers is considering the Zealot for his successor, the traditional play. Master X reclaims his burn card, so he might not burn the Oathbound. Instead, he's going to burn the Judge.
It's going to be a lovely time for our annotators here. Hold up.
Well, he's leading off, even though he's not even going first, so he should probably reclaim that.
I thought you said I'd go first.
No, sorry, I go first, and I've got the first Koch king.
My bad.
And I still haven't done my successor yet.
Okay, sorry.
There we go.
All right, successor is going to be the Zealot.
He's real excited about soldiering down. So he did the Zealot here.
That's fine.
I wonder if he wants to do a Blufferino.
I'll take. If you want to show me cards, I'll take it.
I'll show you more if you want.
Hey, that sounds great, actually.
Fortunately, in this situation, showing you have a soldier is not conceding much information. Leading with the Inquisitor.
Is he gonna do the bluff? I feel like with a low card hand, he's got nothing to lose. He wants to do it, but it's not the right play.
To do the assassin bluff, huh? I don't know. I don't think this is the hand to do it with. You could feel
You have the queen.
interesting.
Go straight to the queen.
Yep, knocking out the top cards right away.
That's a great play for a couple reasons. Not only is it a top card,
You should play that.
but it also gets rid of one of the fool's natural counters.
That is smart. I think clearly that is setting up a future fool play, because if he's going to win, it's going to be through the best maximal use of the fool and assassin. So, all right, Elder.
There's a trap, by the way. A noob trap here is to immediately play your Warlord because it becomes a 9. But you have to know that Mr. Rogers has the Oathbound Fool combo and can pull the Queen. So he's got to be careful. Okay, so he decides to go with the Soldier here.
But it's dangerous if he guesses right. That does set up the Oathbound Fool combo.
No, but then he can disgrace both cards.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
So this is actually the right thing to do.
Sentry.
But he misses.
Jeez.
I do not.
These face down cards are killing the players tonight.
So that means Mr. Rogers has got to suspect that the Sentry is the face down burn, giving him a lot of information to work with.
That's absolutely right.
But now, where to go?
Yeah.
I think this might be a good time to pull a king flip. Because you want to keep the rest of your powder dry.
I don't know. I could also see, I could also see the Oathbound being a play, because the Soldier gets the Sentry, by the way, which is the face down card. Oathbound is a interesting play because then he can withstand one more turn without having to either flip his king or whatnot. But the issue is that Master X has also an Oathbound. So let's see about playing the princess.
I'm going to play a princess.
Wow.
Without the power.
Without the power.
All right.
That's forcing a king flip or an Oathbound.
That's right. If you're Master X, you've got to think, is the assassin there? And if it is, well, you do have the king's hand.
I'm going to play.
Yeah, but 2 for an 8 is always painful.
Uh,
Still better than losing, though. He's going to do the Oathbound.
Yeah, the only valid play is either king flip or the Oathbound. If he does play the Oathbound, Johnny Go's saying playing to the soldier. I think that's a smart move because, again, it allows him to take those 2 royalty cards away from full contention.
No, you can't Oathbound into
Disgrace
Warlord
it.
because of the full Oathbound combo, so be careful.
And play a Warlord.
Oh, he fell into the trap,
That's
though.
what he did.
There is
Oh, no.
royalty in the court, so that becomes a 9, I think.
So yes, the Warlord's powers are activated by being out there with that queen face up. So it is a 9, which would normally force a
that
king
becomes a
flip
9.
for Mr. Rogers, but
I
he's
will play
going straight for the full Oathbound
And
combo.
Oh,
and then a fool.
That is real
no
unfortunate.
way. The combo.
Yeah.
He dodged the trap the first time, but he's going to get hit by it the second time.
Oathbound fool combo, and I don't really see a reason not to take this queen up here. So we'll do that. Wait, is it fool? Yeah, any non-disgraced.
So there it is. I don't think Master
So
X...
you're on a 1. You got an open field, whatever you want.
Master X is not out of this, though.
I'm going
He's
to
not.
play.
Unless he plays that king's hand. I hope he doesn't play that king's hand. Fingers crossed.
Again, his successor's a mystic, so he's got a lot of powder dry still.
Immensely tough decision for him. But he has to respect that assassin.
There it
Move a
is.
Soldier. And say is it the queen you just picked up?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, queen.
I do have a queen in mind.
Plays it safe, makes it a 7. With the century, flipping is probably not that important either way right now because all the pickup cards are either burned or gone.
Yep. And I think Mr. Rogers, for a safe 2-point win, just needs to flip his king.
See, Mr. Rogers' successor is a zealot. So I think it is a matter of points. Now the delicate part comes about maximizing the points of a win. I think Master X is up against the wall. I don't like his situation right now.
I'm going to
Flip your king.
flip my king.
Smart
Let you
play.
Play on an open board, whatever you want.
He's even keeping his card face down. I think he's confident.
Really,
Right.
Master
I
X's
will
only
flip the
option is
king.
to also flip, and he does.
Okay, I will assassinate.
I will king's hand.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe the order of operations here is that your king, then my assassin goes away, then your king's hand goes away, and it's my turn. Sina can, yeah.
That's absolutely right. They disgrace.
Then
It's
I
just
will
like nothing
play
happened.
a queen to the court.
Pushes the queen out, knowing that that's how he can secure his second point, and it works. And it's a 2-point victory for Mr. Rogers.
Oh man, we're really fighting for these. These are some great games, honestly.
Mr. Rogers, well known for being hyper polite
against the master.
But
Not
truly
talking about
inside of his heart, he's a cold machine who's just there to terminate. So we'll see how Mr. Rogers fares in this
Here we go.
potential last match. I mean, it could still go both ways.
You get the first player king.
Yeah, the early soldier miss was hard there. So with this potentially, but not necessarily being the last hand, a couple of things we want to do. First, a little bit of stream promotion. If you're enjoying this, please go ahead and follow the stream or dump some emotes in the chat or whatever you want to do just to keep following.
Follow button.
Smash that follow button. But yeah, follow along in the tournament as we go along. And we'll talk about this after the game. But Sina, when is the next match of the tournament?
Yeah, we're looking at, let's see here, Thursday at 9 p.m. We have our other upper bracket semifinal between Dancing Pharaohs and Juno Balls. It should be a really good one. I think two of the top contenders are going to be playing there. So
that's right. And what's notable is that's right after Super Quiz. So on this very channel, Bar Trivia at 7:30 p.m. will lead right into Imposter Kings. So you can scratch the trivia itch and then head right in to the next upper bracket game, which should be a lot of fun. For those of you who are looking to learn more about Super Quiz, we'll talk about a little bit of that after the show tonight. But all right, let's talk about these hands. First, let's get into the burn cards. The face-up burn card's the Queen. The face-down is an Elder. Interesting combination there. All right, okay. Now looking, the first player king passes back to Master X, who will decide who goes first. Let's take a look at his hand. He still has a mulligan in hand. So let's take a look and see what he got. And it's an interesting hand. He got both the Fool and the Assassin, Elder, Inquisitor, Soldier, both Oathbounds, and the Princess. Sina, how would you feel? Would you feel reaching for a mulligan here, or would you play this?
I would probably play this only because I got the Oathbound Fool combo. I got an Inquisitor. I have the first player king. I have the true king. I can choose who goes first, and the assassin safely in my thoughts. I might actually toss the assassin here, but I'm not 100% sure. Biggest fears are the 7s and the 8s.
All right, excellent. Now flipping around to the other side. Speaking of 7s and 8s, we're going to see them here in Mr. Rogers' hand. Zealot, Inquisitor, Judge, Soldier, and both 7s and both 8s, which are definitely the dominant feature of this hand.
Yeah, I mean, that's the double 7s, double 8s are going to be crazy. I think it would be unwise to let Mr. Rogers go first. But if he misses on an Inquisitor or a Soldier call, I'm talking about Master X, then I think he's in a lot of trouble. Because with this hand, Mr. Rogers should be able to crush. Calling out the Elder first with the Inquisitor, then dropping the Judge, and then dropping a Soldier. You know that Master X is suffering between the 7s and 8s, and so you can hit him hard with the Soldier.
So down 6-4 with the mulligan in hand. Even though this is a winnable hand from Master X's perspective, would you chance it to try to get a better one?
I think I would mulligan here if I was him. But again, I of course know both players' hands and the burn cards, so it could be a tough decision to make.
Let's see what they do.
All right, go ahead. I believe it is your chance to choose who goes first.
Okay. I'm going to take one out of the will book and go first.
He's going for it.
Hey, well,
he's got to go first.
You said
here.
that your main strategy was going to be to use whatever I did, so
he's really living up to that. He's been doing that all night.
Expecting that.
I love it.
We have to discard.
Yep.
Did you hear my bedtime alarm over there?
I didn't know.
Late at night.
So this has to wrap up soon because Master X's bedtime alarm just went off. So he's chucking his Elder. That makes sense, knowing that he has the only royalty card. Master X has burned the Elder. He put one of his 2 Oathbounds as his successor. Mr. Rogers thinking this one through. Sina, if you're Mr. Rogers, what do you burn here? I would probably burn the Judge myself.
I know everyone hates the Judge. I would not burn the Judge, but everyone can be haters.
So he's not a hater. He successored it. He's burning his Soldier instead.
Yep. Looks like he's doing the Soldier and then the Judge as his successor. That's an interesting successor because I would have used the 5s as a power play right now at the beginning.
Actually,
maybe
no,
he's flipping. Oh, you know what? Mr. Rogers is playing smart here. He knows he only needs 2 points to win.
He only needs 1 point to win.
There we go.
1 point to win. So he can actually get away with flipping his king early.
Except the assassin is out there.
That's
I'm
true.
going
But now he's got the
Inquisitor.
combo here.
So Zealot ended up being Mr. Rogers' successor.
Elder.
And he immediately leads off, guessing for an elder and misses.
Oh,
Okay.
that's gonna cost him the entire match, I think.
Yeah, we've been guessing terribly this
Because
tonight.
now Mr. Rogers has got all the initiative in the world. I really hope he decides to capitalize on this with the Judge Inquisitor combo that no one seems to use. It's okay if you don't. You can go straight to Inquisitor if you want. There we go.
Inquisitor, the assassin.
He should get the assassin here.
Pulls the assassin. Okay.
Even if he's wrong with that guess, he can flip his king next. And so this is the right play.
If you want a king's hand, you can.
No.
Of course.
Will playing mind games. Wow. This is what I was talking about. He seems like a gentleman. Hey, I can teach you some of the rules here, but really he's playing mind games because he has the king's hand in his hand.
Oh boy, so that's painful because that was a driving path to victory for Master X, but he still has the Oathbound full combo, so not all is lost yet.
To soldier.
I can't see him getting out of this, but I'm really interested to see how far he can really get before those powerful 8s and 7s come through. It's really tough when your opponent only needs 1 point to win.
Mystic.
I do have a mystic.
Ah.
You shouldn't flip anything here. Master X has
Sina wants us to hold. Wait. I don't understand what Sina's trying to type to us.
You're not supposed to know that I'm typing behind the scenes.
Sorry, Master X, it wasn't your turn. I visited the assassin. You played. It's my turn to play.
I see. Okay.
Oh, it looks like chat's also catching it over here.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Thank you, Sina. That was yeah.
Oops.
Be interesting to see what Mr. Rogers does here. If he just tries to take those numbers and wipe Master X out, or if he plays it more coyly.
Okay. I think I am going to.
He's going to start powering through here.
You think he's going to do the assassin swap?
Ooh.
And
if he does it, that's
ability.
Yeah, I was going to say he has to do it because of the Oathbound full combo could pick up the assassin.
Judge.
Whoa.
Big plays.
The whole game just changed, boys.
Whole thing just changed.
Yeah,
What?
and when you use the fool here, there's
happened here?
nothing there that's strong enough to justify
This is
it.
Imposter King.
I mean, he
man.
can
You
grab
never
the
know what's gonna
Inquisitor
happen.
if he wants.
But one thing to remember is he does have that princess,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
and he could pull a nasty turnaround and take the assassin right out of Mr. Rogers' hand when it's both their last card.
I like this much better as well because of the fact that if he used the Inquisitor, the King's hand would come out too.
I guess I'll just say Mystic again.
I do have a mystic, so that becomes a 7.
Don't disgrace cards. Okay, good. I think Mr. Rogers is kind of
and play the mystic since you're so enamored with it.
He's just playing with his food now, I think.
And I need to play a 7 anyway.
I mean, I'm actually not sure if this is quite
Done yet, right?
done yet. I think
Are you
Master
gonna
X
disgrace it?
actually has a
Nope,
narrow
I'm just gonna
window
leave
of
it.
possibility here.
Yeah. I think Mr. Rogers is playing a little too quick and easy, knowing that he's got like a ticking time clock. But I would have preferred he actually used the Mystic's power to
Oathbound.
kill the 6s potentially. So he's going to Oathbound into Fool.
And disgrace it.
He can
It
grab an
disgraces the
Inquisitor.
7.
And then Fool. And then get the Inquisitor.
So he's getting the Inquisitor so he can get rid of that Assassin. Unfortunately for him, he's got the King's hand that can stop the Inquisitor.
That's true, but again,
I am going to play a Warlord.
And here comes the big swaps.
yeah.
The good news
Okay.
is that I think Mr. Rogers knows the rules well enough to know that if he tries to swap, that he can king's hand it.
I am going to princess. And should I swap you, Will? Should I
So
swap
just
you?
it's a choice that you have, but you should know if you choose to use the ability on the princess, it becomes vulnerable to the king's hand.
So there's that answer.
Ah, good call out.
So it's definitely your choice, but if that was a consideration you were thinking about, it would be important for you to know that.
Okay, I will not use the ability.
Okay, I will flip my king.
So yeah, now he's got to use that Inquisitor on the assassin. No
So
ifs,
you've got
ands,
an
or
open
buts.
board.
I will.
But he's going to get king's hand.
Your assassin.
What's the hesitation? Does he not
I
know?
will king's
Okay.
hand.
There it is,
that
yep.
Inquisitor.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So your card goes away, then my card goes away, and it's your turn on an open board. At least I believe what happens.
Yeah, not a good thing for Master X
can
there.
I just like not flip my king?
No. Well, if you can't play, then
Okay, flipping my king.
oh, I forgot to spin it. Hold on. There we go.
There it is.
Oh no!
And he's tapping it too. I need to teach him to just hold the button down. There you have
Damn.
it. Another 2-point hand for
painful.
Will to Mr. Rogers,
So now
making
the
it.
question is that 1 or 2 points, does it count as having flipped the king?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to educate everyone about the
Either
rules
way,
after
you
this.
win, right?
You had
But
cards in
anyways,
hand. Oh, that's right,
congratulations to
that's
Mr. Rogers
okay,
for taking that.
That's right. Mr. Rogers wins
Rough.
2 points
It's
for
rough.
that, and that means he wins everything.
I'll
So,
give you 2.
That's right.
yep. So it's a 2-point victory, which means Mr. Rogers takes this upper bracket semifinal match 8-4. Very well played, hard fought set of hands here. Master X pushed him hard that whole time and just came up a little bit short, thanks to a couple of strongly played hands at the end. Woo!
That was so close. I mean, I got to commend Master X for coming into this tournament, playing 8 different versions of this game, not knowing all the rules, and still taking it so close to one of the seasoned veterans, Mr. Rogers.
That's right. Well, we're about to depart here from Imposter King Stadium to go back to the interview room. See everyone there in 1 second. Well, Sina, that was an intense match, very hard fought, a lot of back and forth. Takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I'm really impressed with Master X. I'm really curious to see how he's going to do in the losers bracket. Absolutely fantastic play by both of them. And yeah, I am just looking forward to seeing what he's going to look like in the losers bracket. As for Mr. Rogers, congratulations to him as always. He played a pretty immaculate game there. Had a couple different choices that I thought he might be disappointed with later when he watches this VOD. But overall, I think a really solid performance by him. He was able to maximize. He mulliganed correctly. He played correctly. In that last hand, he masterfully knew that he only needed 1 point and played to that advantage.
That's right. I think Mr. Rogers played beautifully here. Made a couple of small missteps, but made many great plays that really took advantage again of rules knowledge and of just cleverly using the cards to their maximum advantage. And I think that was represented in the outcome. Master X played extremely well. I think he'll want that first hand back, given, again, the Oathbound play and how that changed the strategy. But otherwise, especially, again, coming in without a lot of experience with the current form of the game, he played extremely well, pushed Mr. Rogers all the way there, and I think he can definitely hold his head up high of having given it his all tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of both Mr. X and Mr. X, Master X328 and Mr. Rogers, we're going to be having them live here to give a post-game interview. Let's see if they join.
Great. Well, while they are joining in, it's interesting to see again how this might influence the next game. Hey there, Master X. Great to see you. A tough match tonight, but man, you really pushed Mr. Rogers hard. Again, it was hard fought the whole way. How you feeling after that match?
It was rough. I wore my lucky Imposter King shirt, the first shirt I ever wore to play Imposter Kings, and rightfully lost to Imposter King's first Grandmaster, Mr. Rogers.
Well, I mean, you had a heck of a game, to be honest. As I was saying to the viewers, I mean, you've played 8 different iterations of this game, and you still don't know half the cards because I keep changing them in front of you. Yet you got so far, 8-4 against Mr. Rogers, who's a seasoned veteran. So what do you think you're going to take when you get to the losers bracket? What's going to be something that you're going to be thinking about?
I think that I'm going to never go first because that's definitely advanced play that I'm just not ready for. I thought that last game I had a killer hand and Mr. Rogers just knew exactly what to do. It's like he had x-rays.
Yeah, even with your lucky bedtime glasses, you were able to get a couple of good hands in there. And yeah, I mean, I think one of the things you said early in the thing was about how you were going to try to copy the play style of your opponent, and we saw a couple of times that you actually did that, and you did it to great effect. You think you're going to continue that in the tournament?
I think if I'm playing Mr. Rogers, I've gotta do like blaze my own trail because he's just all over those mind games.
Yeah,
and I think he was ready for the copycat moves.
Well, again, Master X terrifically played tonight. Again, all is definitely not lost. As a matter of fact, you're diving in to the lower bracket, but you're diving in a couple of tiers ahead and very much can play your way into the finals from there. In the lower bracket, anything else that you're going to try? Anything you're going to do to get ready for your next match?
It's a good question. I'm going to continue reading the rules. So it's important to know what you're allowed to do and not do. I'm going to figure out some Inquisitor strategies. I felt like that card really destroyed me a couple of times this evening.
Well, you had a couple of hard luck guesses there where it just happened to be the face down burn card. You made safe guesses and they didn't pan out. But again, that's the way it breaks sometimes. Master X, again, we're going to be looking forward to your next match and wishing you all the best there in the lower bracket and good luck next time around.
Hold on. Before he goes, when you guessed the queen and you had it in your hand after all guys just kept on, was that on purpose?
No.
Well, it worked. I believe.
And then Will was like, "You have the queen." I was like, "How do you know? I don't even know."
Sometimes the best way to play is just to not know what's in your hand. But I think our annotator in the comments section here says that's the play of the game. So if you want to give yourself an Overwatch style play of the game montage where you say that question, I'll go ahead and make one for you.
How did Will know it was the queen? You have to ask him.
I think he guessed. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in the losers bracket. Tough loss today, but I know you'll bounce back up.
Peace. Give love a chance.
All right, Master X, everyone. Again, we'll see him soon enough in his next match in the lower bracket. Now it's time to catch up with our winner tonight, advancing on in the upper tier and in a very good position in this tournament, Mr. Rogers. Boy, oh boy, I remember after his first match, we talked about how Mr. Rogers played things a little differently. And there he is, the man of the moment. Mr. Rogers, a big smile after a big victory, a hard-fought match tonight. How's it feel coming out on top 8-4?
Well, that felt like a really good game. We really fought for some of those points. And it was good to get a little humility into me, being down and fighting to not lose multiple points on a couple of hands there. But I was glad. I felt I played well. I was able to hold it to minimum damage when I had 4 pulls and 4 bad strategy. Yeah, he screwed me over a couple of times with of thought I knew what he was going to be putting down and guessing for those, and then screwing up I tried to judge into Inquisitor, and he just completely flummoxed me. So.
Well, speaking of the judge the Inquisitor, that's actually one of my favorite plays, and you actually elected to go straight into Inquisitor. There was that one game in the second game where you judged into, I want to say, Mystic, and then you put he put his Inquisitor. No, sorry, you Inquisited into a judge, and then he put his Inquisitor down, and then it completely blew your strategy out. What were you thinking there?
I was thinking I was in real trouble. Because it was, when you do those kinds of plays a couple of turns, you have a sense of what your goal is, and you're trying to figure out what they have, and then all of a sudden it's just completely out of the water, and you're struggling to put a hand back together. That I think in the case you're referring to, I really did not have a strong hand and was relying on that strategy to actually bring my hand forward by taking out some of his better cards, and then all of a sudden I was just
so speaking of getting wrong-footed, we were just talking with Master X about this. There was that case where he made a soldier play and guessed that you had the queen in your hand, even though he had the queen in his hand.
Yes.
And I know that caused a lot of mayhem when that happened. So, did that, at that point, given the way it played out, it seemed very clear that you would have known where everything was, except all of a sudden you didn't. So how did you react to that?
Well, so we had a lot of missed guesses in this game, and I was relatively playing it straight, trying to get information. If I had to guess, I would have said that my impression from the very first game was that he was trying to throw off my guesses about what was in the burn pile by guessing things that he knew that he had in his hand.
Well, actually, in that case, it was just a mistake, but it still worked, right? I mean, you still were able to guess it in the end, but it still kind of puts you for a whirl.
It did screw me up because, and when he did that, it kind of, it was a bit of a struggle for him because I was basically trying to deliberately avoid taking information from his guesses after a couple of times where he had tried to mind game me pretty hard. And so it made me play it a little bit as a disadvantage because I had less information, but I was also, I don't know that it flummoxed me too badly because I was kind of assuming that he was screwing with me a little bit.
Okay. Last question here, Mr. Rogers. First off, congratulations. You're a guaranteed third place at this point. So that's a pretty big deal. I wanted to just say you're known in the tournament for being very concise about the rules, maybe saying some of the rules incorrectly, such as the soldier at one point, but also just kindly letting people take back moves, being a good-spirited, good Samaritan. Except for that last hand, I noticed that you said, well, if you have the king's hand, you could king's hand it right now. So I saw a little bit of a crack in your facade, and I'm curious to see if that's going to be happening in future games, if you're going to go into more of the mind game type of thing.
Well, mind games are a huge part of this game. And so, of course, some of the game is to, you play it straight most of the time, and then you're actually credible when you play some mind games with it. And I don't think he jumped on that one. But
so you're not actually kind-hearted. It's just all a facade as part of the mind games of the game.
That's mean to say. I'd say that I do try and mix my strategy up. So I'd say I'm naturally kind-hearted, but I do recognize that if I do that all the time, then it would just be too easy for everybody else.
Makes sense.
Well,
last thing I was just going to say is Buddha the Beast says that he's beaten you 2-0 and he's undefeated against you. And so
that's true. I do have challengers that are undefeated against me. So I'm not some kind of, Terminator, as they were saying last time. So
they were saying.
Well, Mr. Rogers, great match. As you can tell, I think Sina designed this game for the mind games. If as you watch the Tuesday night tilt, the regular one between Sina and I think the mind games are really the point for him. So that's the part he's most attuned to. Yeah, superbly played tonight. A lot of really clever moves, setting things up two or three turns ahead of time, and then seeing that borne out. Great hand knowledge and knowing exactly what the opponent is going to do ahead of time. And then the stream dying. Then everything playing out really well. So, again, whoops. Okay, I'm back.
I just have to ask again. What do you have to say to Mr. Master, your opponent, masterx328?
Oh my gosh! Well, I'll tell him that was some really good games, and he put me through the ringer. I was really sweating a number of times there, so definitely felt like that was. I hope that was entertaining to watch, and I certainly was feeling the pressure. He brought a really good game.
Awesome.
Great. Well,
thank you so much for. I think there's a little bit of a delay. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, sorry. As the internet blinks in and out on the stream, I apologize for that. But Will, again, superbly played tonight. Congratulations again for some truly excellent play. You definitely have earned your way into the next upper bracket game. You're the man to watch through all this. Dare I say, perhaps the favorite. And we'll see and be rooting for you in your next match.
Congratulations.
All right. Well, folks, I don't know.
There we have it, Dan.
I think, unfortunately, the stream has elected to die on us right now. Comcast always providing top tier internet providing here as part of this. Boy, it's dead. DEADDEAD dead.
It's not great.
We're back. We're back. So anyway, folks, apologies for a very rough technical ending. But hopefully you've stuck in here through getting booted off the stream. Just for a quick wrap up here. Again, delightful matches. Mr. Rogers, a very worthy winner, advancing on to the next step in the tournament. Let's take a look at the bracket. So Mr. Rogers prevailing over masterx328 will advance to play the winner of Dancing Faraz and Juno Balls. And masterx328 will drop down into the lower bracket and will play the winner of Sasuke and Shane. Should be a great matchup. We'll know who Mr. Rogers is playing after the match Thursday night. So when is the next match, Sina?
Yeah, we're looking at Thursday at 9 p.m. right here. Not right now, but certainly right here in the same spot. So it's going to be a really good match. Just like tonight, I think it's going to be really fiercely contested between both players who are relatively new but found themselves winning. We're going in and out. It's okay.
Oh, so yeah, we're back. Sorry. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be a great match. So as a quick reminder for everyone watching the stream, just to get the last plug, 7:30 p.m. is Super Quiz. Please join in for that right here on this channel. And then 9 o'clock, it's the next match in the tournament, Thursday night, 9 o'clock Pacific, Twitch.com/Dan Koch. See us right here. And for more Imposter Kings action. Sina, anything else before we call it a night?
Nope. Wonderful games, wonderful night, and we will see you all at 7:30 for Super Quiz, 9 o'clock here for Imposter Kings.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. See you then. Mark your calendars 2 days from tonight. Have yourselves a great night. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.